Good afternoon, true believers and warriors alike. What the? Time for another fun-filled episode of Combat Commentary. I'm your gracious host, Turtle Sage, aka Richard, or whatever you want to call me. Doesn't matter, but call me after noon. Anyway, so Xiao Hao, we are going to discuss. We're going to do another fighter analysis, and this one will be okay. Kind of close to me because it's a hometown hero. Yes, you guessed it. You know, I'm a resident of the St. Louis area, so shout out to Mr. Tyron Woodley, the chosen one. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into it. This man is a mixed martial artist and now boxer from the town of Ferguson, Missouri. African-American gentleman, black, foundational black American, whatever you want to call it. Yes. His foundation is in Greco-Roman wrestling. He was an Olympic level athlete at Mizzou, Missouri State University, right? So he got into the world of mixed martial arts, and let's talk about his strengths and his weaknesses. Let's start with his strengths, because, you know, well, actually, you know what? Better yet, let's start with his weaknesses first. It's just like, you know, Greek playwrights with tragedy. Have the tragedies first and then the comedies later, right? Smile in the end. Okay, let's keep it positive. Let's start with the negativity. Negativity. All right, so the one major weakness I see out of him is, and this is mainly as a striker. He is one, he makes a mistake that, look, I'm not gonna lie, I've made this mistake because, yeah, it's an egocentric mistake. Basically what it boils down to is when he lands a good hit on somebody, he tends to do what is called taking a picture, or he admires his handiwork. No, get out of the scene of the crime. That's how you get countered. That's how a gentleman by the name of Colby Covington and this is a Brazilian guy, Vicente something. I forget his name, but my UFC heads know who I'm talking about. That's how they got the better of him. And so he's not good against people who know how to counterpunch. That's really the only real weakness I've seen out of him. Otherwise, this man... Oh, another one, and to me this has kind of cost him a lot. This definitely cost him the W, in my opinion, against Jake Paul. It was his refusal, not even inability, because he definitely has this ability. It's his refusal to pull the trigger when necessary, right? So it's kind of one of those things. You can have all the tools in the world. You can have the deer in your crosshairs, but just because you have the deer in your crosshairs after you successfully tracked it doesn't mean you are necessarily going to score the kill. You got to finish the job, right? And he has done that before, but for some reason he just like stopped doing it. I don't get it. It kind of reminds me of that fight between Yoel Romero, got to roll the R's, and Israel Adesanya. Romero just wouldn't finish the job with his overhand right. Much like Mr. Tyron Woodley did with his overhand right. And that brings us to our strengths. Tyron Woodley. This man has damn near perfect physicality for combat. He's not overly tall that he's awkward, and he's not so short that he can't really get inside and do damage against, you know, bigger opponents, right? And here's why: because he has an insane reach for someone being about 5'8" tall, and he usually fights in the 170-pound range. I think it's welterweight, but man, dude has some crazy reach. It's like he has reach like, for his height, like Lennox Lewis had reach when he was in the game boxing, right? So, now his strengths, other strengths, as far as a fighter, oh my God, he's he's just strong. Oh, what I wouldn't kill to have strength like that. Like between his overhand right that can just cave your face in, his legs, I guess the reason I like him so much is because he reminds me of me in many aspects. I don't have his reach, but I do have his height. We're from the same city, and we both have tree trunks for legs, tree trunk thighs, right? So this man can low kick you, and he doesn't just cause an ache in your leg after a while of getting hit in your inner thigh or outer thigh or whatever, most strikers do. No, this man will take you off your feet, which means if he kicks you just right, he could just shatter your leg. Like, I think Chris Weidman did to Anderson Silva. Hey, as somebody who's goes out of their way to be good at kicking, Northern Shaolin Kung Fu, I'm envious. I ain't gonna lie. I wish I had power like it. And I have power. Maybe I do have power. I just never pushed it to its limits like that. But neither here nor there. I'm not a pro fighter. But it is something I love. But enough about me. Anyway, moving on. Another strength of his is this, obviously, his foundation is in grappling. This man gets a hold of you, he will manhandle you and move you around. And with all of these gifts, I just can't help but think there's some of these fights he's lost that he shouldn't have lost. Especially against that Brazilian dude. I didn't want him to lose. Well, at least against Colby Covington, it was more on points. It wasn't like straight up he slept him. But against the Brazilian dude, he fell into that Vicente guy. I forget how to pronounce his last name. Forgive me. He basically, he stayed in the pocket too long, got countered, and he was kind of dazed. Actually, not even kind of, he was really dazed, but he shook it off. And I'll give him this. Man is tough as nails, man. He can take some damage. And I respect that. Don't necessarily mean I want to do it, but he can, and that's a beautiful thing, especially being that he's almost 40. And he got dazed. We shook it off, but he was clearly, kind of hurt. And while he didn't get knocked out, he got submitted because, it took away his will to fight. And that happens. That happens to everybody. You get hit just right, get hit on the chin, get hit in the stomach, get caught on your leg, you're hurt. It is what it is. It happens to the best of us. Now, moving on from that, one of my favorite fights I watched with him was against Robbie Lawler. And this is where his true strength showed. This man did not mess around. It was a kill shot from the get-go, took him out, and people thought that Tyron didn't have it in him to beat Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler was one of the high-level big boys. I think, he had a title. Well, had until Tyron stepped in the ring, and that overhand right caught him lacking. And I was like, yeah, keep doing that. Don't admire your handiwork. Get out. That's why there's cameras. That's why highlight reels are a thing, right? Now, and that goes back to how you train is how you fight. And during training, when the camera's not on, I admit during sparring, I've made this mistake. Take it from somebody who knows. Don't do that. It always ends badly. Get in, get out. That's what my original Sifu, Grandmaster Lee, would say. Richard, you only need to do 3 to 4 strikes and then move out. Do not stay in. He would say this. The Grandmaster, Mahjong Longhorn, Wu style Tai Chi, Fu style Bagua. This was his advice. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Don't take a picture. It won't last long. Anyway, moving on from there. Oh, another good fight that he had was against this British dude, David Till or something like that, Daniel Till or something like that. But again, this is a case of how, when you're shorter than somebody, how to fight tall people. He got in and just ran his fade. He didn't stick around. His timing was correct. He didn't try to be an outboxer. He got in close. And he made use of the fact that when you have exceptional reach, it's hard to fight on the inside, especially if you don't know how to use internal force. But that's neither here nor there. He got him off of his feet with his exceptional grappling skills and eventually dropped them bows, throw them bows. It was a ludicrous song, baby. He was dropping them bows, bloodied up that Brit, something fierce. And I was like, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Finish the job. Do not hesitate. Don't take your time. He doesn't seem like a long-distance fighter to me. Granted, I could be wrong, but that's just my conjecture. He does best in the first 3 rounds. Don't go beyond 3 rounds if you're doing MMA. Don't go beyond 5 rounds if you're boxing. And that brings us to our next fight, him versus Jake Paul. Now, my money was on the fact that if Tyron could if he was going to finish Jake Paul, he would have done it in the first 3 rounds. He didn't do it. There were several times, though, he put him on the ropes and he didn't continue the struggle. Or Jake Paul, I'll give Jake Paul his due, he was smart enough to tie him up because he knows from probably watching the same highlight reels that I watched. He watched folks get hit by that overhand right, and he caught it a few times, but Mr. Woodley did not follow through, and because he didn't follow through, Jake Paul won on points, and part of me thinks, well, not even part of me, okay, my blood relative, my brother, Mr. Nelson, he would basically... He said the fight might have been fixed because he didn't finish him off. And I brought up the Yoel Romero versus Israel Adesanya. So, like, it could have been there, boxing, it's sports, it's fighting sport. It's not fighting art. And there's money at stake. It is what it is. Bets are being placed. And, this is America. So we got to have that great white hope. At least every few years. They always do this. I get it. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to see, necessarily it based on, okay, oh, well, we're going to prop this guy up because of his background. No, may the best man win. That's how it should be. And I say this for black fighters. Yeah, sure, I'd like to see representation, especially a hometown hero like Tyron Woodley. But a win is a win and a loss is a loss. If you didn't do what you were supposed to do during that fight, that's not... You can only blame yourself at the end of the day. And that's what I love about this. Fighting, martial arts, war. No amount of eloquent speeches will explain away an L unless the refs went out of their way to cheat, which I've already addressed in videos in the past. I could address it again if you like. But... tell me what else you like. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let's have a spirited debate about this. And if you like what you saw, like, share, and subscribe. Ring that bell like Tyron Woodley does with his overhand right and his low kicks and his elbows. And that is my synopsis, my analysis of the hometown hero, the chosen one, Mr. Tyron Woodley from Ferguson, Missouri. And with that said, be water, my friends. Go out there and train, get stronger. Turtle Sage, signing off.